welcome to a video I've been wanting to do for a while, which is all of my favorite art supplies. So we're starting from the top, what I use the very most, which is my watercolor palette. I made a video of how I put this palette together earlier. It's a mix of a number of different types of paints, which works for me, maybe not quite as well for some. But they're in little half pans and I can really easily refill them. They snap in and out. I can remove this middle section from this Schmincke aluminum palette and have 3 areas to paint from, and I use this pretty much every day, so that's my staple. I also use occasionally this set of Dr. P.H. Martin's Hydrus watercolor paints. Honestly, they work more like inks rather than watercolors. You really can't pull them up off the page that much, so beware of that. I've definitely fallen into that trap. I mostly use the black as a replacement for ink and also the white for things like Starry Nights and stuff like that. It's really nice for a white accent. So they're a good supplement, but definitely not something I use on a daily basis. I also use gouache on occasion. I used to use gouache a whole lot more before I put together my watercolor palette. It's a little bit more chalky and heavy. There are a couple of select colors in gouache, like this pink, for example, that you just can't get in watercolor. And so sometimes I'll also use this as a supplement to my watercolors. I also often use gouache just for kind of fun, more like sketching type activities. Like if I'm sitting in front of the TV and I just want to paint something, I'll whip out the gouache and paint from that. So I do enjoy this set, especially all of the 50 colors in it. Moving on to brushes, I pretty much exclusively use these 5 brushes that you see right here. They are, for the most part, pretty cheap, and they're just in a variety of sizes. So the first one here is the most expensive one. It is a silver black velvet brush in the jumbo round, and I'll use that for backgrounds. The second one I just got for a couple bucks, and it's just a number 10 round, or sorry, it's a number 8 round, and it's been super great. This one you probably have seen most in videos. It's my number 6 Polar Flow, whatever that is, and again, it was a couple bucks. And same with this, it's just a number 4. This is I think it's a Pentel Aqua brush. I have all of the links below, but this is really nice for on-the-go watercoloring, and also when I'm doing my doodling in front of the TV. I always use this because you don't have to dip anything, you just fill it with water and paint. It also has a great point and a lot of variety in terms of the nib, so you can get kind of the fat and the thin lines. Moving on to what I use for definition for my paintings, and so this is my collection of colored pencils. It is an interesting story. I got these from eBay, and from what I've heard, they were the brand that predated Prismacolor, this Spectracolor thing. I could be wrong about that, but I got this huge cheap set from eBay, and I have like multiple colors of every single one, and they work pretty well for me. So I use these and also graphite pencils to sketch out the first drafts of my drawings. I use them intermittently, I guess. So the graphite pencils that I use are a B, which is just a little bit softer than an HB, and I usually use this one to sign all of my pieces. And I use this 2B, which at this point is like teeny weeny. It's about the size of my little finger. So you can see how much I use that one. Erasers, these are my two go-tos. I love this Faber-Castell dust-free eraser. You can use it on watercolor paper and even to erase colored pencil, and it doesn't affect the grain of the paper at all. It's just really great. For smaller details, I use a couple of these like more retractable erasers, and this one is actually all the way back from my art school days at Savannah College of Art and Design circa 2005. So that's a vintage eraser for ya. And these are my collection of fancy pens. You'll see me filling in a lot of details on my watercolor paintings with these, and so this is just a little gold to add a little bit of shimmer and fun to a piece. It's just a Uniball gel pen. And then I also have this white jelly roller. I've got a couple of different white pens, and I do find this one works the best. So I'll use that for white details and, you know, sometimes like stars and stuff like that. And it's just a nice thing to have around as an option. Whoop. Masking fluid. I do use masking fluid. I kind of go through phases with it. Right now I'm in a bit of a masking fluid phase. To apply it, since it is so disgusting when it dries on your paintbrush, I actually use this rubber thing. I don't know what it's intended for, but I use it for masking fluid, and it peels right off of there. And then the brand that I use is Winsor & Newton. I have another masking fluid pen, but the nib of the pen is right now like blocked with masking fluid, so I'm gonna have to sort that one out. Black pens, I think I could do a whole video just dedicated to black pens and ink. I love black pens, and I've had so many. So right now, my mix is these four. My go-to pen for journaling and just writing anything in general is this Platinum Carbon fountain pen. I grew up using fountain pens. It's kind of a long story. I went to British school in like basically colonial Africa. And so I just love a fountain pen, and this is a great one. It's refillable. It has little ink cartridges that last a really long time. And then by the same brand, Platinum Carbon, I use this ink for my dippable nib. And this is just a cheapy nib. It's pretty bendable, which means that you can get a good variety of like line widths, as you see there in the little speech bubble. And I just kind of use it until it's bent, and then I get another one. The ink is waterproof, and so that's always nice. You can put it on before or after painting. Another go-to are both the Micron 01 and 005. I use these for any fine details, and you just can't go wrong with a Micron. And then my secret weapon pen that you might have seen me use when I was doing my latest South by project is this Sakura Pocket Brush Hard number 14. I've used a couple of different pocket brushes, and this one is just great. It doesn't look very good on watercolor paper here, but if you get it on anything smooth like a Bristol board or a notebook, a sketchbook, it is like butter. So I have multiple ones of these. The last thing is paper. Right now, I'm just gonna go through my watercolor paper with you because I'm pretty much exclusively watercoloring these days, which I'm sure will change eventually. But basically with paper, I have at all times 2 different kinds of paper, the cheapy paper and the expensive paper. The cheapy paper is just like basically the cheapest stuff that my art store has, and usually like I'll try to get it even when there's like a sale going or something like that, and just kind of stockpile loads of it. This kind of paper is really nice because I can use it with no fear. Like I basically use this paper almost as I would use a sketchbook. I do all my silly little like doodles and Instagram drawings in it. I use it for a practice for a bigger piece, and I can use it without feeling like I'm wasting an expensive paper, if you know what I mean. But for my final pieces and my more polished stuff, I, at the moment, exclusively use the Arches cold press 100% cotton watercolor paper. This stuff is amazing, and I absolutely love painting on it. I use cold press because I've been using cold press for my entire life, and it's just a habit. I know that a lot of people use hot press paper, and I think that is something that I want to try. So probably sometime soon I'll be delving into the world of hot press. But cold press, I'm sure you know, has a little bit of tooth, a little bit of grain to it. And so you do get that like lovely variation, and it holds the watercolor really well, but then you compromise having a bit of a rough texture when you paint, so sometimes it's harder to get the precision of line. So I have a pad of Arches when I want to do something that isn't completely saturated from end to end with water, and then I also have a block. And the benefit of a block is that you can paint with as much water as you want basically, and the paper doesn't morph, and so you don't have to stretch it. I hate stretching paper. I never do it because it never turns out right for me. So when I want to do a piece with a lot of water and a lot of layers, I will use this block. And that about wraps up all of the supplies that I use. So I hope that you enjoyed having a little look at my tools, and I will talk to you guys again very soon. TTFN.